The Cardinals lose another winnable game last night. Is the team actually regressing now? Let's relive the pain together, shall we, on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. That way you're interacting with us. Hit the notification button. That way you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So last night, the guys were attempting to do something that many others and myself deemed an almost impossible mission, a mission worthy of Ethan Hunt and his IMF team. And that mission, if they choose to accept it, was to try and slow down the number one offense in all of baseball, enough to give the Cardinals' struggling offense a chance to win the ball game last night. And to add a little more spice to the mix, why not put on the mound one of the most hittable pitchers in all of baseball? That would be Adam Wainwright. So good luck. See what you can do with that. Now, Adam Wainwright, who we all love and adore, has not been good this year. Heck, he hasn't been really good since August of last year. And he'd be the first to admit that, too. So it's not like I'm saying something that everybody doesn't know. I'm not sure what wall he hit at the end of August last year. I don't understand what happened, but it's been pretty bad ever since. Last year through August, Adam was 9-9, ERA 3.09. Maybe it was the Pujols-Molina effect last year, those good vibes surging through him. I don't know, but he was really good. And then it all stopped, seemingly out of nowhere, as soon as the calendar flipped to September. He was 2-3 with a 7.22 ERA in his final six starts last year. Coming into last night's game, 2-1, 6.15 ERA in five starts. Those are bad numbers. But there he was on the mound in Texas, staring down the best hitting team in baseball, and in classic Waino fashion, he wasn't backing down. He did not back away, gave it the old college effort, gives up 2 hits in the first, but wiggles out of that trouble. The Cardinals jump out to a lead in the second inning thanks to a defensive blunder in right field by Adolis Garcia, who dropped a pop fly while trying to transition the ball from his glove to his hand, which turned that fly ball into a two-base error. So the Redbirds, they get an RBI single from Paul DeYoung, and they lead 1-0. But in the bottom of the second, the Rangers rip off 3 straight hits to tie it, then take the lead on a fielder's choice. They get another hit. They make it 3-1. And personally, I'm just kind of waiting for the knockout blow. You know, Adam gives up a lot of hits, and he gives up a lot of contact. And eventually, one of them usually goes flying over a wall somewhere when it comes to the Rangers offense. But that never happened. It never happened. Wainwright continued to battle. He mixed up his pitches and locations, does a great job of keeping things close just in case the offense decided to ever wake up from their snooze fest that they're in right now. I spoke with Bryce Paddock from Locked On Rangers yesterday, told me that the one weakness the Rangers do have is the bullpen. Said if you keep it close, you get to them, you definitely have a chance to win. That's the one part of their team that's not very strong. And that's what happened last night. Cardinals had nothing against Martin Perez, who diced them up over 7 innings. But in the 8th, Bruce Bochy goes to the bullpen, and the bats kind of wake up a little bit. They get a leadoff walk, then a single, then another single, and then it's bases loaded, nobody out. An area in which, let's be honest, the Cardinals are very good at this year. I even said it last night when it happened. I was like, oh, crap. But I used a different word than crap. I was like, here we go, bases loaded. See what happens here. Hoping for finally some good news when that happens. And Paul Goldschmidt's up at the plate, too. You got the reigning NL MVP. Absolutely hits a missile to left field, but it goes right at the left fielder. Second time he did that last night. Goldie looks like he's about to go hot again, like really hot again, just saying. But it's a sac fly. It was enough to get the runner in from third base. We've got a 3-2 game. Runners are now on first and second, one out. Arenado is up. And here's where the Cardinals show why they are a last place team. This is where it happens, okay? Nolan Arenado, clutch, rips one into left field. It goes off the wall because the outfielder and the ball meet at the wall at the very same time, hits the wall, bounces back towards center field, okay? Ricochets away from the left fielder, and this creates chaos because you got runners on first and second at the time. The problems begin here because the lead runner, who is Nolan Gorman, doesn't go halfway, which is what he's supposed to do, but he doesn't. Instead, he's retreating to the base, which is a mistake. I don't know if he thought he was going to try to tag up and scoot up and get over to third if the ball was caught. Maybe that's what he was thinking. But when he realizes that the left fielder didn't catch the ball, he now has to restart his body and his momentum back towards third base. Nolan Gorman's a big guy. It takes a little bit to do that. By this time, the runner who was on first is Tommy Edman, who is literally standing right behind Gorman at this point because he did go halfway like he was supposed to. And he's waiting for Gorman to get his butt moving, right? So now we have both of them chugging around third, trying to score. Tommy Edman, very fast. Nolan Gorman, not very fast. So Tommy is literally right on his heels as Gorman is rounding third base. Tommy's right behind him, okay? Meanwhile, we've got Nolan Arenado, who isn't watching where these runners are right now. He's hauling his butt as fast as he can around the bases towards third base. Now, Edman is the go-ahead run. He stops after rounding third, whether on his own or because the third base coach told him to. I'm not quite sure because in the camera angle, you can't see what Pop Warner is doing. Every time they show Pop Warner at the different angles at this part, he's not doing anything. His arms are down by the sides. Like he's just watching this nonsense go on. Okay. If Tommy had kept going here, probably had been out, probably. But with both he and Gorman sliding in at the same time, maybe he's safe like that scene in Major League with both guys sliding into home plate. Catcher can't figure out who to tag. Both of them end up safe. Maybe that happens. But we'll never know because Tommy stops and starts coming back to third base after the throw home gets cut off. Now, on YouTube, you can see I've stopped the screen from where Tommy has stopped at third base and has gone back to it. Gorman still hasn't scored at this point. And the problem here is, if you look, Nolan Arenado at this point is getting ready to slide into third base. So you've got Tommy already at third. You got Arenado coming into third. You've got Gorman sliding into home here. Edman doesn't know what to do at this point, so he just starts heading towards home again, gets tagged out. The game is tied, but now there's 2 outs in the inning, and the rally is essentially over because Contreras grounds out to end the inning, which may or may not have actually gone through and been in hit or scored Tommy from third base if Arenado had been on second, but it was all screwed up. And after the game, both Nolans took blame for their mistakes, as they should, because they both screwed up here. Gorman not going halfway creates the traffic jam at second base. Arenado not paying attention to the runner ahead of him eliminated a second and third and 1-out scenario for Contreras. And it's the funny part is Arenado and Gorman are safe, and they're the two who screwed up. Edman, who did everything right on the base paths here, is the one who gets tagged out. And you knew it. And you knew it when it happened with the way this team has been, that this whole mess would come back to bite them. And it did in the 9th, where another mistake is made. Cabrera's in the game in the 9th. Ali used Helsley in the 8th. And by the way, Helsley looked fantastic last night. Looked like the guy we saw last year, all-star Helsley. With 1 out, Cabrera walks Marcus Semien. And then a pop-up behind third base happens. And it's Alec Burleson in left field, who is slow. He is not a good outfielder. He's very slow, and it looked like he was playing on the warning track. I don't know why he was all the way back there, whatever. But he's not going to get to this ball. Nolan Arenado normally makes this play. He really does. But on this night, it doesn't happen. This time it falls. It wasn't a routine play, but for Platinum Glove winner Nolan Arenado, this is something that he normally would have caught. Usually has that one in his back pocket, but it falls, puts the go-ahead run at second base. Next hitter singles, game over. Arenado, after the game, again, takes full responsibility. Didn't blame the lights or the surroundings. He's like, yeah, it's a little bright in there, but that's no excuse. I should have had it, and said he should have caught it. He said that he made the mistake on the base paths, said that he was the one who kind of blew this game for the team. I'm never going to put it all on one person because it takes a combination of things that leads up to a certain play that becomes a backbreaker. But all of this together, these are the little things that this team was doing in April that caused them to go 10-19. And it's stuff like this that has them now losing 4 in a row and looking like the worst team in the National League, which they are right now. Credit to Adam Wainwright. Solid job. Very dangerous offense. Things could have gotten out of hand very early. In fact, I expected them to, but he somehow got the outs when he needed them and gave the team a chance to win. That's his job as a starting pitcher. Your job is not to mow everybody down for 7 innings with shutout ball. It's great if that happens, but your job is to get through 6 innings and give your team a chance to win. He didn't make it through 6, but he was pretty darn close, and I thought he did a good job. I applauded Adam Wainwright's efforts last night. Another takeaway from this, Ollie not starting Nolan Gorman. Don't get it. Don't understand it. I'm assuming it was because they were facing a lefty, and with Waino on the mound, you thought the ball was going to be in play a lot more, and he wanted a better defensive alignment, but you've got an offense right now that is struggling to put up any runs. It's not your defense, and it hasn't been your pitching that's lost the last 4 games. It has been your offense not showing up. So your idea is to take out one of your best hitters so Donovan can play second and Mercado can start. The Oscar Mercado thing is not working. He's not good. He's not really a major league player. He's a pretty good AAA player, but that's about it. So I don't like that. I don't like that you're pulling Nolan Gorman, who's been one of the top hitters in the National League, top hitters in all of baseball, so that Oscar Mercado can play in the outfield. I don't like that. At some point, you just have to let Gorman face lefties and figure it out. He's not going to get it any better at hitting left-handers if you don't let him face them. There's no reason to be benching Nolan Gorman unless there was something physical wrong with him before the game. That's the only excuse. According to Rob Raines at STLSportsPage.com, this loss drops the Cardinals' record to 6-14 in one-run games, and they're now 1-31 when trailing after 7, and just 4-16 in the first game of a series. Not good. We're going to get some fan reaction to what's going on with this team next. We'll do that right here on Locked On Cardinals. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With greater deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting excited for the fun you're about to have. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event with exclusive flash deals on tickets for all your sporting events, football, basketball, baseball, as well as the concerts and the comedies and the theater. The Gametime guarantee means that you're going to get the best price. Even if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime is not going to say, no big deal. No, they credit you 110% of the difference. Tickets are sent directly to your phone. You snag them without the stress. Courtesy of Gametime. That's what you do. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. The Cardinals are in Texas again tonight to face the Rangers, and you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. My everydayers know that we like to incorporate as much listener interaction into this show as possible, and I plan on including more of it moving forward. In fact, I want your voice to be heard each and every day on this show. I love going through the comments, and we have such a good time going back and forth, whether we agree or disagree. But it's good, that's good sports talk. That's what we're doing here. So good news, bad news, happy, sad, whatever it may be, whatever you have a comment on, please drop it in underneath each and every YouTube video that we put out there for you. So let's see what some of you have to say about the state of the Cardinals right now, because I asked on yesterday's video on YouTube if you could say one thing to John Mozeliak or Ali Marmol or the players about their performance. What would you say to them? And we'll put out a couple of them here. My Guns 69. Wow. What a name. Anyways, Guns says, need to trade away Flaherty, Montgomery, O'Neill, Carlson, and DeYoung. A number of those guys are free agents at season end anyway. Thank you, Guns. Out of those 5 guys you just named, the problem here is 2 of them are hurt. O'Neill and Carlson are out right now. Nobody's going to be trading for an injured guy. Nobody wants that. Although Bader last year, wasn't he hurt when we traded him to New York from Montgomery? But that was a different story. That was at the trade deadline. But I guess he was hurt last year. Anyways, moving on. We got good news about Carlson. Okay, we did find out that he's expected to begin a rehab assignment in Memphis. He likely will play 2 games, then be ready to rejoin the Cardinals when they come back home from Texas on Friday night, which is great. My assumption here is that this will put an end to the Oscar Mercado days with the Cardinals, because Oscar Mercado is not very good. Okay, I'm kind of over all of that, and that's what I assume will happen, is he'll get sent back to Memphis. By the way, I also want to, is this the worst sprained ankle in the history of sprained ankles? I've rolled my ankle plenty of times playing sports, specifically basketball, and Carlson's been out since May 15th with this. It's 3 weeks with a sprained ankle. It must have been really, really bad. It didn't look great when he did it, but it wasn't one of those situations where he like rolled it on the base or something. He was just coming out of the box and he stumbled a little bit. I don't know. Very strange. Seems like a long time to me, but we all heal differently, don't we? Flaherty and Montgomery, as far as trading, these guys could be huge trade pieces at the deadline. And we saw an interview on Bally's with Jim Hayes and Mozeliak on Memorial Day, where Mo said they don't anticipate being sellers and that the plan is to be pushing towards the playoffs at that point, not selling off guys. But man, I feel that's really premature to say, considering how this team looks and what their record is. They're the worst team in the National League on June the 6th. We've got a little under 2 months then till the trade deadline. With the way they're playing, and if they're like this by that point of the season, don't you have to kind of reevaluate your situation? And if the outfielders do get healthy, if O'Neill makes it back, Carlson comes back and is fine, if other teams are willing to part with big name prospects or just young talent in general, some pitching for God's sakes, for any of the 5 people that were just named, I don't know how you turn it down. I'll go one further. How about Tommy Edman? Add him to the mix there. You got Wynn, who should be ready for the majors next season. I mean, what team wouldn't want in a playoff push somebody like Tommy Edman on their team with his versatility, his ability to switch hit, his defense, his speed? I mean, if this team is not better, like significantly better by the trade deadline, I don't mind them pulling a St. Louis Blues type of move and just trading all of them off and just restocking for 2024. Even if you move those guys, all those guys and Tommy Edman, even if you moved all of them, you'd still have Arenado, Goldie, Contreras, Gorman, Walker, Nootbaar in your starting lineup. And then you surround him with some of these new pieces you surround them with like a Mason Wynn coming up. You figure out what you're going to have to do with the rotation. You got to rebuild that, obviously, but you're already on that path. So that shouldn't be something that they're unprepared for. But the health and the production of those guys has to elevate, specifically O'Neill and Carlson. Because the biggest chip right now, in my opinion, would be Jack Flaherty. Trading him. Healthy and producing. Probably not going to be back on this team next year. What can you get for him? Anthony Orman says, I'd like for them, talking about Mozeliak and Ollie, to fire one another. Shaking my head. This is so depressing. Hey, Anthony, I'm with you. Not so much on the firing portion, but the depressing part of it all. I've said this before. We've all been very spoiled over the years with solid teams by the Cardinals and good, fundamentally sound baseball, that when we see a squad like we're watching here in 2023 that's beating itself on most nights, it makes it all that more frustrating. You know, you lose the game last night 4-3, but if you lose without the base running miscues and without the defensive miscues, it doesn't sting as much. But you see those things happen like they were happening in April, and it just takes me back to the end. It reminds me so much of the end of the Mike Matheny era, where it was just fundamentally bad and unmotivated looking baseball each and every night. And eventually they had to pull the plug. Now, the difference between then and now, to me, here with Ollie, is that Ollie hasn't been here nearly as long as Mike was. You know, you got to remember, too, it took 2 years of this team not making the playoffs and then 93 more games in 2018 before they finally fired him. The idea that 61 games into Ollie's second season, a season after he made the playoffs as a rookie manager, won the NL Central, the idea that they're going to fire him right now, I think, is just unrealistic. I do not think his job is in jeopardy at all. I know that probably will upset some people because a bunch of the comments under here that I'm looking at just want Ollie fired and Mo fired and are blaming them for this performance. And I agree. I think a lot of blame should be on Ollie and on this front office, because the front office is who put together this team. But think about what you're asking. This is Ollie Marmol is their guy, right? They handpicked him and groomed him over the years in their system to be a manager at some point. And when Schilt decided he didn't want to play by their rules anymore, they chose Ollie to take over, because guess what? He plays by their rules. He does what he's told. He's running the team the way they want him to in the front office. They're not going to can their yes man to bring in Joe Madden or any of these other colorful, outspoken guys you're watching on TV. That's not who the Cardinals want in charge of their ball club. I think this team needs a kick in the butt too, and I think that's why they brought up Luken Baker and Jordan Walker, to see if their youth and their enthusiasm could shake things up a little bit. But it's only been a couple games. You got to give it a little bit of time for it to happen. I mean, Luken's got a few hits. Walker is still hitting the ball on the ground a lot. They haven't found any holes, really. But I want you guys to keep the comments coming each episode. The more, the merrier. As I mentioned, I do want to make this an everyday portion of the show, because I just love talking ball with you guys. You guys are great. All right, we got to preview tonight's game next. We'll do it here on Locked On Cardinals. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sponsored by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. You live, you learn, you make mistakes, you grow inside and out, and you move on with your life, right? Kind of like what we're trying to do here with the ball club. We're trying to learn from these mistakes. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. And it's always nice to have somebody there just to listen. And that's where BetterHelp can benefit you. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you may be, a good or a bad place. If you're thinking about starting therapy, why don't you give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, not that of the therapist. Okay? It's suited for you. When can you talk to them? That's what they want to know. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today. That way you can get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. The Cardinals have Matthew Liberatore on the mound tonight against Dane Dunning for the Rangers, and you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Liberatore has looked pretty good to me since coming up from AAA Memphis. Had that one rough inning in his last outing against Cleveland, But overall, I think you've got to be happy with what you've seen. I think the Cardinals have been happy with what they've seen. That's why they've decided to keep Steven Matz in the bullpen for now, which I thought was a smart move. This will be the best offense he's faced thus far, though. And the Rangers do hit lefties well. They hit everybody well. Let's just be honest. But lefties, team batting average of 295 is fourth in the league behind the Braves, Rays, and Marlins. Their OBP is first against lefties, 372. Slugging is fourth. OPS is third. Rookie third baseman Josh Young is destroying left-handed pitchers this year. 358, 5 home runs, 13 knocked in. So he's a guy that you really want to pay attention to outside of their normal studs like Corey Seager and Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia. Dane Dunning on the mound today, 4-1, ERA 2.06. He didn't actually start making starts until May. He was in the bullpen for them. And then when DeGrom went down, they scooted him up into the starting rotation. Since then, he's been 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA, and he shut down people like the Braves, the Mariners, the Angels, and the Pirates. So two of those teams are in first place in their divisions, and Dane Dunning shut them down. None of Dunning's pitches averages more than 90.6 miles per hour. He doesn't throw hard. His strikeout rate, not great, 16.6, ranks 104th out of 122 pitchers with at least 40 innings pitched this season. So how is he getting people out? Because he pitches to contact, he doesn't give up home runs, and he doesn't walk people. So two of those things, very important. The key for him is that he throws a lot of different pitches, okay? Which sounds like a nightmare for a Cardinals team who is struggling to hit much of anything these days. And Dunning is one of just 17 pitchers, according to this, who's thrown 6 or more pitches at least 4% of the time. And he doesn't use any pitch more than 29.2% of the time. So he's going to give you a lot of different looks, a lot of different pitches, and all of that has been working for him. And another problem for the Cardinals coming into this, none of them have really faced him before, which usually spells certain doom, right? So we've got a guy that they've never seen who throws a lot of different pitches and has been able to keep some of the best offenses in baseball at bay. Could be an ugly day at the plate for the guys in the red and gray tonight. But let's hope it's not. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Be sure to catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast for this series against the Rangers with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. First pitch will be at 7:05 St. Louis time, I believe, tonight. I think it's the same time. Let me double check on that so I don't screw anything up for everybody. Yes. 7:05 once again tonight, St. Louis time. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Cardinals, at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.